Hey everybody, welcome back to Michael Claire to Arts. Man, I'm super excited today because we get to review yet another offering from Huion, which is a fantastic company manufacturing peripheral tablets, display tablets for the commercial artist and hobbyist. So, which model are we going to be reviewing today is the Kamvas Pro 24 4K. This is a unit that's been around for a little bit, and there's a lot of saturation in the market with regards to 4K tablets. So I'm anxious to see how this one performs against some of the other units I have reviewed. This particular unit is true 4K at 3840 by 2160 HD, 16:9 aspect ratio. It has 8,192 levels of pressure sensitivity, anti-glare etched glass, as well as it being an IPS display. So let's go ahead and do the unboxing, and I'll probably do just some talk through with regards to packaging and presentation, and then we'll get into the setup and drawing process. This is going to be a focused review because I want to make sure and cover all the bases, as well as do the tablet due diligence and doing a drawing. That is what this channel is about, and I want to make sure and cover that as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the unboxing. And here is the Kamvas Pro 24 4K in its native box environment. So I'm always anxious to get in, but I just wanted to make sure and show you guys what you can expect whenever you receive the unit in. It does have a grab handle, which is really nice. And on the back, it does give some diagrams with regards to setup. So it looks like you can do a desktop, and it comes with little mounting legs, which is really nice as far as a stand goes. Some of the larger tablets these days don't come with stands, and I think it's great that this one comes with those little feet right there. And here it is with setup for a laptop. So that's pretty cool. It includes all the cables, and down here, if you have any issues or anything like that, you can always go to their website, but that shows the driver reference. And whenever you see this artwork right there, that is where you need to go with regards to the Kamvas Pro 24. So let's go ahead and start the unboxing process. Okay, so what we're going to do, since I have such a limited amount of space here in the studio, this is not a clamshell. It's not. So clamshell being a box that opens like this. This one you got to pull everything from the inside, which actually makes it a lot harder. A lot of the other tablet companies are clamshells, which makes it a lot easier to extract the tablet, but no big deal. Big pieces of styrofoam here, and I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and start pulling some of the items out. Here's looks like the accessory box, which probably has the pen as well as other items. Oh, very nice. Extremely nice presentation. Everything is in its proper place. Power supply, pen. Here is that all-important quick key remote. Here's the documentation and cleaning cloth, and all the cables to connect your Huion Kamvas Pro 24 4K, and the lovely donut, which includes, looks like we have a loose critter in there, which includes the nibs, spare nibs for the pen. So this is very nice. Interesting, they used really high-end foam for this, but for the tablet they used some of the old school styrofoam, which I'm not a huge fan of, because obviously of stuff like this you get little things like that. So then we just have the tablet. I mean, very simple. Let's go ahead and get it out of this. Very nice. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and actually it's sealed. No, it's not. Actually, is it? Looks like a seal. Oh, it's a giant Ziploc bag. This is something I have not seen before. So very cool in case you have the tablet, use it for a while, and then you decide, hey, I need to move on and purchase the next Huion product. You can always keep the static bag as well as the box for possible resale. Oh, so here it is. Beautiful, beautiful. I love the fit and finish and the quality. It's got a slight border, so it's not glass all the way to the edge. There is a tiny, minuscule composite plastic border, and then of course you have the black border right here. What I was told with regards to this and why they don't go all the way to the edge is this is where a lot of the pen sensing technology lies. So that's why you haven't seen stuff like on the iPad where the sensitivity goes all the way to the edge of the glass. You're going to see that. And I like having this black here. I did have a different opinion before. Here is all of the I/O, and here is the VESA mount, and here are those all important little feet. That's fantastic. So obviously this unit is designed to sit on the desk. It also has the option for the VESA mount right here, which I do have many VESA mounts in my office. I might be taking advantage of that for this particular review, just because I have limited desk space for mounting, oh not sorry, for this right here. I'm looking. Okay, these are cooling vents right here. Now in terms of the plastic's really, really high quality. I mean, phenomenal. Here's a little rubber bumper for whenever it sits on your desk. Now the I/O is interesting because it's on the top. Power cord, USB-C, HDMI. Actually, that's an HDMI. I don't know what that is. That's probably a proprietary cable for hooking to HDMI. Anyway, let's go ahead and set this thing up. Looks like I don't have to take this off at all, which is really nice. Here's the deal. I typically, whenever you mount VESA mount, you want stuff running out of the back. I am interested to see how this is going to affect the look. Having a bunch of cables sticking out of the top of it is not ideal, but I understand why they did that, because it's not, I don't want to say not designed for the VESA mount, because they do have these. So maybe we'll try. I don't know, I have limited desk space. So let's go ahead and get started setting it up and start the drawing process. And here we are all set up on my peripheral drawing desk. This is not my professional setup. This is where I do a lot of reviews and other miscellaneous items such as traditional drawing. I did end up putting a mount or a stand on the back of this. I had a spare stand, so I'm not utilizing the little feet. What's nice though about having these little feet is it does give a really good angle for you to draw on, but for this particular review I did place that stand on the back. Now as you can see, all the cables coming out of the top of that. That is not something I like to see, but I understand why they did that, because if it is designed to really lay down at that angle with those feet, you don't want things sticking out from the back and inhibiting or impeding it from going down as low as possible. Setup was really easy. I installed the driver. Here is the driver. What I like about Huion's driver, first of all, is the simplicity. It's very easy to navigate. So let's go ahead and add a program. And what you're, okay, so first let me explain something about this. It is customizable, and you can actually save the file to your desktop, and if you upgrade the driver, or if you decide you want to transfer that particular setting to another machine, you can do that, which is really nice. As you see, currently I have it on pen display. Go here, pressure setting. I changed the pressure setting globally to be a little bit softer, so my clicks register a little bit more efficiently. And if you want to visit the store over here on the right hand side, but first we're going to go ahead to the pen display. It does show what you're currently running. The Kamvas Pro 24, that is the driver that I downloaded from Huion.com. Again, very easy to find. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and unbox the glove. A lot of people ask me, is the glove quote-unquote necessary? Absolutely not. It is not necessary, but it is a great option for those of you that don't want to have fingerprints and other miscellaneous oils on your screen. Now you can see the screen itself is absolutely beautiful. We're going to go ahead and move this out of the way to the right-hand side. It is phenomenal. This image was saved 300 DPI in Photoshop. I believe it's 10 by 10, and you can see all the strokes, and it's just beautiful. The colors are really great. I think it said 143% Adobe RGB saturation. Here's a little cleaning cloth if you want to clean off your screen. But this is a a glass that has been sprayed with an aggregate, a plastic material, to give it a frost finish. And there's a little bit of resistance, which really adds to that drawing experience, and it kind of emulates paper a little bit. Again, here is the, looks like the inventory, plus a quick start guide. What I did for this particular setup, it is hooked up to my Macintosh, and it is compatible with both Mac and PC, and I do have both environments, but for this particular exercise, we're going to show it in the Mac environment. Very easy to hook up. Hooked up the power cord and a simple single USB-C into my Mac Mini, and everything works great. They do include HDMI cables. If you do not have USB-C, which most of the computers these days, I believe, are required to have USB-C, and they do have the HDMI that you can plug into the computer. I'm sure if you have an older computer that there's a way to facilitate hooking up the display, but at the end of the day, read the documentation before you purchase said product. Again, here's that donut that I talked about. You just literally pop it out. It's not the easiest thing to do because it doesn't have a tab or anything like that. Typically, I can squeeze it to help have it come apart. There it goes. Yep, we got a stray nib. So this is really nice because it acts as a pin mount holder, and you've got numerous nibs in here. And I have people ask me all the time, do the nibs really wear out? Yes, they do. They do wear out. You get about 3 to 6 months depending on how hard you draw. And I've had to purchase nibs not only for Huion, but some of the other products that I use. I draw a lot, I draw harder, so they're going to wear out faster. Here's some fabric nibs or some felt nibs, and here's the nib remover on the inside. There are instructions and documentation if you want to figure out how to take that nib off. Again, it's very easy to do, and it goes in there like that. Here's the pin itself, very standard Huion. Not breaking new ground here or anything like that. Does not have an eraser, but it is programmable, and you can program an eraser for these two buttons. I know some of the other companies are including an eraser as well as a scroll wheel, but at the end of the day, this gets the job done. 8,192 levels of pressure sensitivity is nothing to gaff at or laugh at. It is the industry standard. Anything higher than that, you get into a little bit of diminishing returns, but I think that eventually most of the companies will probably transition over to that 16,000 levels. So how do you add a program? You go up here to the right hand side, you click add a program, and you have to launch the program first, and I've already done that here in Photoshop, and it will list what program is currently running. So Finder, Huion Tablet, and Adobe Photoshop. So now we have that program selected. We come over here to the digital pen, okay, and we can program what we want. Currently we have that at E and right mouse button. So E would be eraser inside Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have I'm just going to hit the space bar because I like utilizing that second key right here as a grabber. So that's good. So let's go back, let's confirm, yep, it's been reprogrammed. And then I can reprogram the pressure settings. So I did it globally initially. Now inside Photoshop, I like things a little bit harder because I draw a little bit harder and a little bit faster. Again, it's going to program to that Canvas 24. So you're like, well, what about the Quick Key Remote? Quick Key Remote is very similar. Okay. With regards to setup, so here's a Quick Key Remote. We're going to go ahead and toss the box to the side. And what's nice is, in the old days, it used to be dongle based. So it would take up a peripheral port. And I always thought to myself, why didn't they go to Bluetooth? Well, lo and behold, they did. So here is the charge cable. Okay, charge cable. USB-C, right there. And if this were to ever die, you just plug it into the USB port. So the USB-C goes in here, charges the unit, and it runs off of Bluetooth. So what I'm going to do is set this up really quick. I got to figure out, I can't remember how to set it up. So I'm going to go ahead and read the documentation, make sure that I show you guys correctly, but this gives you a firm handle on how to set the driver up. Very easy. Now if I go back here to the pen display, you can change working area if you like, and you can calibrate. Now the monitor calibration has to do with pen in relation to where the cursor is. Currently, if you look, it looks like it is perfect. So preliminary monitor calibration, it is perfect. I'm not going to have to do it. But if you did, you would click this little button right here. Then you would go in and you would just basically click each red dot. And I typically like to do that whenever I receive a new tablet in, because everybody has a different drawing style. So there we go, perfection. A different drawing style, and it's important to, I mean, some people might draw like this, some people might draw like this, some people draw angled. It's important for you to get your own calibration according to how your hand sits on the screen. So that is that. Let's go ahead and get to the remote setup really quick. Okay, I had a little bit of a hiccup, so I know how to hook these things up. Basically, you hold down the side button, that triggers the Bluetooth pairing. You come over to the Bluetooth section in your Macintosh. It shows nearby devices. You hit connect, and it connects with the Huion device, no problem. Once that happens, then it appears over here in the driver. You can see it shows the Kamvas Pro 24 and the mini key dial. The challenge is you can see that Huion is in red. Unfortunately, it had zero charge, nothing. So I went ahead and plugged it into the Macintosh, and we're going to go ahead and just let it charge for a little while. So, overall, let's go ahead and get into the pen test, drawing test, and we're going to really push this item, this unit, a little bit to get a really good feel of exactly how the pen feels. I can already tell you right now, it's extremely snappy. If you look at it, a lot of times when you do that, depending on how powerful your machine is, and I'm running a Mac Mini with the M2 Pro silicon chip, and I believe it's got 16 gigs of RAM, and it's really fast. So if we come here, new, we're going to go ahead and create a new document. We're going to do RGB color, 20 by 20 at 300 resolution with a gray tonal background. Create. Okay, we're going to add a layer. So here we are. Here. Okay. First of all, the pressure curve is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to show you guys. I'm going to make that brush a little bit bigger. Right now I have taper on and I have pressure on. The initial lead-in, the initial activation is really nice. I'm not seeing any major shoestringing. Actually, I'm not seeing any shoestringing, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in. I'm using a textured brush because that tends to tax the system a little bit more. So let's go ahead and do just really quick. We can see each one. Not seeing any shoestringing. A shoestring would be like a dark, and then it would taper off really quickly. So it'd be like that. It'd be something like that. We're not seeing anything like that. Really good pressure curve overall. Let's go ahead and do really light. Now I'm going to do really light just to where the pin, the weight of the pin activates. Now, you can go ahead, like I said, if you want to change that pressure curve somewhat, come over here to the pressure setting, go back to Photoshop because I'm in Photoshop, and we're going to go ahead and reset. Let me see, let's go medium, soft. Okay, this is reset. This is factory setting, so we're going to come here, and you can see it's harder. That's what I was talking about. And this is initial activation. So this is basically the weight of the pen. So it's very natural feeling. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to adjust slightly down, just a skosh, right to here. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do a initial all the way in, full. And we're going to go ahead and start tapering out. pressure. Okay, pretty much flawless. If you look at that, oops. I've got my keyboard over here on the right-hand side, the left-hand side. So yeah, you can see nice initial activation here. Good all the way through. You can see that nice taper from, it goes, not only we're getting width taper, we're getting pressure taper. So it comes down all the way and finally into nothing. So here's another brush that I like to utilize. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. The Loish. I like the Loish brush. Soft shade. So what's nice about the soft shade, again, is it, let's go ahead and turn that taper off. Again, you get nice. It's really good for shading, like real good saturation there. Let's go ahead and turn the taper on. I like utilizing this for really quick little sketch and doodles, if we can do that. And what's nice is the nice rubber here on the grip of the pen is just fantastic. It's not sticky, because I've had those that are sticky. Now, I have commented on this before. This is something that is user preference. I like a little bit sharper pen nib. This one's a little round, which I think is fine. It just depends on your preference. And the barrel. So you see the barrel tip right here? You see how it's a little fatter? I like this. I like this part to be a little bit thinner, similar to a pencil, something like this. You see how that's nice and long and you have a sharper pen tip, but this is definitely by no means a deal breaker. They've also created the pen to where it sits on your desk and it won't roll. So if it's laying on your desk, this flat part will stop it from rolling off your desk. Again, which I think is really cool. So let's go ahead. Yeah. You can see consistency. Not seeing any shoestringing, not seeing any broken points. Now, broken point would be if it went like this, and if you had hills and valleys. There is no shaking, which again is a real good testament to the technology that Huion has here in their pen. And I believe this is either PenTech 3.0 or 4.0, and they're putting chips in their pens as well. Their stuff is really, really good overall. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start a sketch. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Maybe a mashup. I love doing mashup of animals, and we're just going to put the unit through its paces overall. Again, I love, you see how instantaneous this is. It's got such a natural feel to it. It's just phenomenal. I love Huion stuff. They really, and what I like too about their pens is how it kind of flares out right here. I like that. I just want it to go a little bit longer because I feel like it's a little chunky at the end. Let's go ahead. Yeah. Again, it feels so natural and so good. Now, one of the things that I note, and people have actually asked me about this with regards to the unit. So, parallax. So if you look, nowadays screens are bonded. So you have the outside bonded to the LCD. So the distance between the pen and the cursor has shrunk down. So you're not going to get parallax anymore. It is so tiny amount that really you have to be concentrating on stuff like that. and I draw so fast, I don't really, I mean, I didn't have issue back in the day when it had massive parallax and it was only 800 levels of pressure sensitivity. So to have this is like a true upscale of technology and interaction between the device. So let's go ahead and get started. So I finally got the key dial charged. Didn't take that long. I used just standard USB-C in one of my charge bricks and got it paired and everything works great. Programmed it. So here we are in the driver. Let's go ahead down to the key dial. All programs. You can see basically I've gone in and programmed it specifically to what I like, and you can do the same. I kind of stay down here in the bottom half. I can program some of these, and I probably will later on, but right now I just I'm used to the format that I have. So let's go ahead and get started with the drawing. So overall, what do I think initial impressions are of the Huion Kamvas Pro 24 4K. So one of the things that I always like to say before I get in here is, first of all, the fit and finish quality of the unit is impeccable. It's wonderful, it's fantastic, but really all of that is secondary to the drawing experience. If it doesn't have a good drawing experience, you can have all of this made of gold and diamonds, and it really wouldn't make any difference as it applies to the art studio. It has to draw well. My initial feel is, how do I put it? I think the pen is of good quality, but it's not on the level of some of the other units that I have seen. The nib itself, although robust and thicker, and I'm pretty sure this will last quite a long time, it just doesn't have the feel that I would want in comparison to some of the other ones. Sensitivity's good. Like I said, lead-in's good as per the drawing test, but I think that over time I'll probably start liking the pen a little bit more because it is not as heavy. It is lighter. Now, a lot of us equate weight of a pen with quote-unquote quality, and I think that's probably what's happening. Is some of the other pens that I've experienced have a little bit more have a little bit more weight to them, and I'm like, well, this one feels light, therefore it's not as good. And that's a complete wrong thing to think, so I have to kind of get over that hump. That's why I'm thinking later on I'll probably enjoy the pen a little bit more. I do like the out flare right here, but again, like I talked before, that barrel, not my favorite. Okay, so I have programmed the unit to where, if you look, I can change the size of my brush, right? And then I've got different things here. Now, if you see me reach up to the top like this, that only has to do with the keyboard because I've got the keyboard up here. I've got the key dial over here on the left-hand side. So, what am I going to draw today? Overall, I think my leaning always is going to kind of lean towards the humorous. I don't really draw really serious, quote-unquote serious things, just because I have a strong sense of humor, and I love using my illustration to kind of tell stories and really just have some fun. So I'm just going to draw a bear. Yeah, maybe the bear will have an eye patch, maybe he's a pirate, I really don't know. This is one of those deals where I just want to have some fun this morning, and that's basically what my day a lot of time entails. It entails me trying to find the best out of the day, whether it be a drawing, whether it be a song, whether it be a relationship that I'm trying to improve, or whatever it is. I'm always trying to really find the good in things because there's so much challenge during the day, whether it be in politics or news. Yeah, so bears. Why do I like bears? I like bears, first of all, because there's a conundrum, right? There's opposites. You have this gigantic, furry, fuzzy, cute, cuddly thing, and that's kind of how it's marketed. But the reality is something completely different, and I think the reason why, oops, that's a little bit angry, but don't want it to be angry. Bears are walking death. That is the truth. Walking death. If you were to go and try and cuddle a grizzly bear, it would probably eat you. I remember there was a point in time when I did a huge amount of work for the Yellowstone and let me see, Yellowstone. I did stuff for Yellowstone. I did stuff for Yosemite. And I believe there's grizzly bears in Yellowstone, but not Yosemite, which is interesting. But, so I had to do a lot of research. I had to learn how to draw bears. I had to, not only grizzly bears, but also black bears, brown bears, polar bears, I mean, bears in general. And then I really got intrigued because of, again, that duality of nature. It's like seeing a villain, right? The villain he's a villain, and you know he's a villain, but he's got these little collection of unicorns. And that really humanizes him. And then you think, oh, he likes unicorns. Talking character, that's not even a word. Character driven. So he's basically a hitman, but he likes unicorns and he collects them. And that duality of character really helps when designing characters like this, or thinking about animals in general. I watched let's go ahead and do this. Boom. Bears, like I said, bears are so fascinating to me because you've got that duality and that, let's go ahead and do this. Go around. He's got this big neck because he's got these huge muscles that come up. And a lot of people don't know these jaw muscles go all the way to his head. I mean, these two huge humps up here, all of this mass attached to his skull. And then his nose is really long, and you've got all these cavities in here that have to do with smell. That's why they have really good smell. And I'm remembering that as I draw the character, as I create this particular item. Maybe he has glasses. I think I'm a real big proponent of putting glasses on things. This is, of course, the rough sketch, and what I'm noticing immediately with the unit is, first of all, the screen, the texture. The texture's really good. That frosted screen that they put on here. Now, a lot of people ask, is that an applied film? Absolutely not. This is a bonded screen to the LCD. Like, again, I talked about parallax being almost non-existent. And overall, the brightness is really awesome. Now, you can change the brightness, I believe. Let's go up here. Now, that's the power button. Let's see if there's any buttons here. Okay, so let's go down here, see if we can change the brightness, because I may need to jack the brightness up slightly. Press key, okay, digital, working area, monitor calibration, rotate, press key, okay. Let's feel in the back here, see if we feel anything as far as additional buttons. A lot of them you can bring up a sub-menu, and I don't feel that. I don't feel any additional buttons as it pertains to brightness adjustment. And of course, I might be doing something wrong. Let's go over here to the right hand side. General. Okay. Device itself. Display settings. Voila. See how easy that was? Sometimes it just takes a little bit of inquiring. Inquiring. That's the Appalachian accent trying to come out. Inquiring. Let's go ahead and do the brightness up. So what I like to do is jack it up just to about 65% and color temperature. So we're in the Adobe RGB, and I'm going to keep it there. Okay. I cannot adjust the contrast or the saturation, which is fascinating. So let's go ahead and jack up the brightness a little bit more. I hesitate to really get too hard into it without adjusting the contrast, because I usually have the contrast a little bit more because I like things a little bit more crisp, but we're going to go ahead and not focus on that, but we're going to go back to the drawing. Okay.
Let's go ahead down. They basically, I mean, literally, if you kind of, so the bear is basically, you have this large oval shape, because believe it or not, bears are so muscular. It's actually quite frightening whenever you think about it. I have a picture. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. I have a picture on my phone that I downloaded because I'm a huge proponent of context. Let me go ahead and find it. Me and my 40,000 pictures. Here we go. So this picture I saw on the internet. That's a grizzly bear foot. Look how big that is. That's got to be 12 inches across. Look at the size of those claws. Whenever I saw that, it really kind of, it stopped me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's huge. And I love, like I said, I love the duality of what bears represent because they're so big and cuddly, right? I've seen videos of people going through some of those I call it a mobile zoo, but it's not. It's basically you get in your car and you drive through and you can see tons of bears and you throw food to them, which I don't quite understand. You're not supposed to open your... Anyway. And the bears wave and you're like, oh, he likes me. No, he just wants to eat you. He just wants to eat you. You'll be yummy. So I can already see some issues. So as I progress through, some of you guys know, let's go ahead and file save. Again, I've got that save programmed in. I'm going to hit this button right here, and it automatically saves after I push it. So, what was I going to say? As I come through. Now I'm laying out what is known as the foundation. And the foundation sketch can be loose. It can be as loose or as tight as you want. I like to keep things really loosey-goosey because, again, adjustments being made depends on where I'm going. If I'm going really stylized, I can push and pull these forms. I can put his eyes up here. I can elongate his nose. Just as long as it stays in that quote-unquote realm of recognizability. Whenever I start getting to super stylized, thinking about like Picasso and stuff like that, then I kind of lose the viewer. Then they have to say, well, what is that? That's why I'm kind of going in that vein of semi-realistic. And like I have always indicated, being loose is something that I highly recommend. Now, I could have gone in and I could have done symmetry, but I like doing symmetry, but at this particular point in time, I'm not doing that. So let's go ahead, get the eyes. So the corners of the nose come up. Let's go ahead and do that. But it's really, it comes in, and it's like right here. So let's go ahead and draw this out. A lot of times, keeping it simple is literally the best option. And you see how I keep doing stuff like this and going over? Because it helps me place stuff a little more exacting. And then thinking about anatomy and how these eyes come around and how the sockets, right, are quite large, but the eyeballs are small in comparison to the head. Again, that head is mostly muscle and nose. You've ever seen a... Let's go ahead and do this. Have this come around. Okay. Come around. What I'm doing is I'll establish one, and then I'll go back, and I'll use this as reference. Okay, his lid comes around. Let's do this. And again, too, this isn't super hyper realistic. I'm not going for that super hyper realistic feel. So let's do this. He's got these big brows, these huge brow muscles right here. Let me come around. And the fur. A lot of people ask me about fur, ask me about drawing fur in general, and I always say less is more. The less that you draw fur, and you don't have to draw every single little... Let's go around here. Every little strand of fur, because you have to allow the viewer to be part of your drawing. That one's a little to the left. He's going to look kind of weird. Okay, that's close. And bears have really dark eyes in general, but that pupil right there. And the iris is really dark around here. Okay. So you can see, just by way of going in, let's go and revise this nose, because this nose comes down. And then he's got, the bottom lip is typically really dark. And then he's got kind of like, I don't want to say lip gloss, lipstick, almost makeup. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. There's the bottom of his chin. And then we come back, this comes around, got this fur right here. Okay, again, comes around. And then he's got fur that really comes around here. Because he's so big. I've seen taxidermied bears, and I've seen bears in person, because I'm a huge proponent of educating yourself in real life and not just sticking in books. Now, I love books, don't get me wrong, don't misinterpret what I'm saying, but if you really want to get the scale of an animal, go to a zoo. Go to a zoo, see the animals. Now, I hate to say go to a zoo, but the thing is that's kind of the only place that unless you want to see one of these things in the wild, which I certainly don't. I'm not a big proponent of keeping animals in cages at all. But as far as, I mean, people are going to do it anyway. Education goes, it's a really great resource for artists. Back whenever I was in school, there was a really great resource near the college that I was going to in Sarasota called Monkey Jungle. And you could go to the Monkey Jungle and go draw monkeys all day. And I used to do that. I'd ride my bike down there, I'd go draw at the Monkey Jungle. It was wonderful. I called it the Monkey Jungle. It's probably called like Our Lady of Monkeys Resource Zoo Extravaganza. And there are gorillas there, all different types of chimpanzees. And I love going to see animals like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, I believe, is again, we're going to talk a little bit about, let's darken that lip. We're going to darken this as well, because he's got a dark nose right here. Let's go around his eyes a little bit darker around here. Okay, we're going to go inside here. We're going to darken this up. The pressure curve on this unit is fantastic, as I expected it to be. I have reviewed many Huion products. Started out with a peripheral tablet, the kind that sits on the side of the desk. On the side, maybe of your keyboard. You draw off to the side, you look on the screen. And kind of graduated eventually over to their display tablet. And I believe it was the 15-incher that I reviewed first. And that was fantastic. And as I progressed through, I reviewed their 24-inch. I believe that was a 2K model. Wonderful. Like I said, I've reviewed quite a few of their products. They did have one, I believe I can't remember. Did it have touch? I think it was a 19-inch. All of their products are really good. I used to have a tier set in my brain as far as quality goes. And tier set being, you had a company that maybe was the top tier, and then you had another one that was below it that would be secondary, and then third and fourth and fifth, and then down at the bottom. You don't even consider those. Huion was always near the top, and they continue to innovate, be a great resource for professionals and hobbyists alike. So this is not a quote-unquote super accurate representation of a bear. This is kind of like a a interpretation, because these ears really need to be way out here. Because again, these muscles, these huge muscles. All right. So then, let's go ahead. Going to throw some color in here. Let's do a mid value, mid hue value right there, right about there. Let's do that. Let's go ahead, make sure we're good there. Let's get rid of pressure sensitivity, because we're gonna block color in, and we'll change brushes here in a second. Yeah. And two, I've had many a question with regards to size. What's the best size? Because everybody, quote unquote, wants the best. And I think that 24 is big. Okay. Now, I use 24 in my day-to-day because me like some big. But that's, again, my preference. And I think that, first of all, not everybody has the quote-unquote money to lay down a big chunk of change on a display tablet that you draw on. And there are tablets. Prices have really come down, but nowadays you can pick up a really good display tablet for around $1,000, $800 to $1,000. And I mean, back in the day, these things were $2,000. And not everybody has that ability to plunk down $2,000. So it's great that prices are quote unquote coming down. But in the same accord, you have to really shop around and find out what's going to be the best fit for you. And a 24 might not be the best fit for you. You might not have enough space. I like the real estate. I like to be able to have reference. I like to be able to have my drawing. I like to be able to zoom in. I like to be able to really, because I'm not a wrist drawer. I'm a arm drawer. So having large amounts of real estate really helps. Now, would I like to review Huion's 27-inch? Absolutely. I would love to review that unit, and I'm sure eventually that'll be a possibility. But right now, we're doing the 24, and so far, it has performed flawlessly. I haven't had any cursor jumps. I haven't had any driver issues. Driver installation was flawless. The only hiccup I had was the fact that whenever I received the key dial in, it was completely dead. But that is a small note. Let's go ahead. Where is my favorite brush? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is go in. So let's go ahead and darken. If I remember correctly. Nope. Okay, we're going to darken this slightly. Okay. And shift. And E. Okay. So now, and for those of you who are wondering why I keep going to the right-hand side, yes, I do have reference. It would be folly for me to go ahead and try drawing something. Now, as you see, the reference, I'm just using it as basic shape, placement of items. Mine looks completely different than this. I don't think that I'm quote-unquote copying things. I just want to be very transparent with that. Okay, so let's go ahead. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just blocking in. Let me make that brush quite a bit bigger. And literally just start blocking in. The way fur works is I typically will do darker. So I have a mid hue. Then I go in and I put in these darker, because you do have darker fur and it's not shadow. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting in quote unquote local color. And local color is that color that doesn't have any quote unquote lighter shadow on it. And I'm kind of guessing, because I'm again mapping things out. And just mapping things out. Now you notice I'm not going in one area. It's very important that you realize that you focus on one area and you render one area, then everything else has to quote unquote match that area, or else that's going to stick out. So what I do is I move around and I complete things as a whole, and I'm constantly reaffirming and confirming those areas. As I talk, I get distracted from my drawing. Anyway, yeah, so just as you progress through, especially whenever it comes to animals, because the anatomy is the one thing that'll kind of work against you. Let's go ahead and a little bit darker. Let's go ahead and turn that on and pressure on. There we go, make this really big. Yeah, having a little bit of fun here. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of darkness here. Darkness. All right, all right, all right. That's going to be really lighter. Okay, then we'll go ahead and put that in. Now what I like to do early on, just because it's my preference, is I like to give the eyes a little bit of eye shine. It gives me reference as far as life. So let's go ahead and put a little bit of eye shine, determining where the light source is going to be. It's probably going to be from the top, and then we're going to have some side reflective light. So we're going to go ahead and place that eye shine like right about there. And right about there. Again, that gives me a little bit of visual reference. Let's go ahead and a little bit brown, light brown, maybe light brown. There we go. Okay. We'll get a little bit darker. Yeah, the Huion unit is performing flawlessly. Very good. No flickers. And I wouldn't expect any flickers. Huion makes a great product, right? They're very consistent with what they do. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and do a little bit on the inside here. Okay. Yay! Alright, so now let's go ahead, gray, dark. Get that base nose shape in, because their noses are really, really fascinating. Again, having knowledge of anatomy really helps, but also just context. I'm a huge context person. Zoom in, looking under the eyes here. And knowing that a bear's nose is so sensitive. Go ahead and down. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and shade that in just slightly. It's so sensitive. Ooh, let's go ahead and turn taper off. Okay, it's going around. And the folds, there are folds and folds and folds of sensor. I don't know how many miles, 3 miles away, 4 miles away, 10 miles away, who knows. I just know that you don't want to mess with a bear in the wild. There we go. That is a good rule of thumb. So what I'm going to do for you guys, because this drawing is going to take a little bit longer, if I see something that I want to talk about, I will stop and I will, I'm going to do this. I will start coming back in, probably whenever I go and do the shot or the light. Let's go ahead. We're going to do the background. Now we're going to do kind of maybe a green hue. A little desaturated because I don't want to really have it jump out. Let's go ahead. Okay. Yeah. Now you can see, now watch, you see that? See all that hesitation? That has to do with the size of the file. That has to do with the size of the brush. The fact it's textured has nothing to do at all with the unit itself. And it's a very powerful computer. So, yeah, some of you be like, look at all the hesitation. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. No, that's my computer. That's totally the computer. We're going to make this a little bit lighter on the bottom. And there we go, to kind of really bring your eye down slightly. Yeah, okay. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start working in the background a little bit. You know what I am going to do really quick though, and I'm pretty sure I want this. Let's go ahead and hit save. And we're going to go dark, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. Okay, so... so if you do round glasses... Again, this is just the sketch phase. When you have a geometric like this, it's important that you have, yeah, I like that. That's nice. That you have consistency, so I'll probably do symmetry on that whenever I actually go to do the glasses, just for reference if you see me doing symmetry. See, typically you can do it like that, but that is distracting. So what I'll do is I'll probably just do this. Nope, that ain't working. I might just leave it like that. Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and go on the time lapse. Okay, so here I am kind of at the, I don't know, maybe at the midway, I don't know. Just having fun, and let's go ahead and blur, because that stuff's in the background. There we go. A little bit of perspective there. So then we come to said glasses that I love to see. It's just so silly. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to come back to, and I still want that. I'm not one for super quote-unquote tight stuff. Now, I can do that stuff, but I like the life that really is represented whenever it looks hand done. So I like a lot of my stuff to kind of look messy. You could say messy, but I say artistic interpretation. So let's go ahead, get that brush. Nope, wrong one. This one. Okay. Okay, and then we go to pressure sensitivity, taper, vertical. Let's go ahead and flesh these out. Okay, back. Okay. Yay! Alright, and you're like, why is he using white? Well, because I have my initial drawing of placement, and I want to keep that as reference, and I do white because I can just invert it and it'll be black whenever I'm done. So yeah. Oops. That's wrong. Again, don't beat yourself up if you can't get a perfect circle. That's completely fine. I get so many people that are like, I can't draw a circle to save my life. Then you'll have a problem, because I'm not interested in perfect. I'm interested in done. Okay, so let's do that. Then we do this. Invert. Very nice. And we'll go ahead and make these a little bit thicker because I want him to have a little bit thicker glasses. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. And you're like, okay, well, that's not the circle at all there, guy. Well, I'm okay with that. Maybe I'll fix it here in a minute. Okay, so then we come back here. We do a little bit of highlight action. Top. Nothing too major. Let's go ahead and do that bottom one's one of the more important ones. I'm going to do white to show that it's plastic, shiny plastic, or metal, whatever. Okay, and then his fur covers up the rest of it. And then let's go ahead and do kind of a blue. I'm going to do overlay. I'm going to go ahead and that right there. And you're like, that looks terrible. Why'd you mess it up? You're just messing it up. No, because I'll choke back just a skosh right there. And then we'll do some highlights, get rid of symmetry, and go back to white. And I'll do that right there. Whoops! Good. Let's go ahead and choke that back. Normal. Let's go and get rid of that. Let's go ahead and push that up. Okay. A little bit more right there. Down on the bottom. A little bit more of a reflection. Okay. And then, where are we at here? What am I doing? Let's go ahead and hold on. Hold your horses. And E. I don't want that. That's fine. We'll leave it like that. Okay, and what else do we want? Oh, highlights. Duh. Let's do highlights on his nose. This is where you start seeing a lot of the quote-unquote form. Whenever you just... Now, a lot of people are going to be like, you need to like make it perfect. It needs to be absolutely perfect. No, not at all. Just go in, have a little bit of fun, just barely putting in some light and shadow. Maybe he's got a little bit of a highlight right there. Highlight right there. He's got some stuff going on down here too. It's like less is more. It literally, if you're beating yourself up about trying to get everything perfect, then you're not having any fun. And that is really, yeah, we definitely want some highlights right here. You don't want to not have any fun. Yeah. Okay, we're going to blur those glasses just a skosh because I think they're a little too stark. Let's go a little bit further. Gaussian blur. Whoa! What are those? Okay. Let's go ahead out. And I like to zoom out because, again, it gives me a little bit of reference in terms of composition, context, placement, stuff like that. Okay, so let's go ahead. That's not the smudger. I don't want the smudger. Okay, let's save it. Okay, so now what I'm doing is just burning and dodging a little bit. Again, this isn't supposed to be... I'm going to go in and render it until I kill it. Right, we're not doing any of that, so let's go ahead. We'll go in the back. I need something in the back because it's literally like this, and I'm not feeling it. So let's go ahead. Let's go here, here, back to our foliage. I like the foliage brushes a lot because they act as, let me see, watercolor. Hold on. Where are my foliage brushes? What did I do with them? Oh my goodness. They have watercolor. There we are. I use the Ghibli, so like blockers and let me see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll do something like this. No, I already used that one. Playmaker. Okay. Okay, make this really big. Dark. It's gonna be lighter. Okay, well, it needs to be in the back of that. No, I ain't feeling that. That's a mistake. Okay, then we're gonna go darker. I'm feeling darker. Darker like that. Yeah, there we go. Again, because it shows layering of stuff, and then I'm gonna come back here. I'm going to do that, and this, make it a little bit lighter. We're gonna do overlay. We're going to come back here. We're going to get a spray brush because I need, where's the general brushes? There we are. Pressure, flow, and opacity. There we go. Because it kind of gives that, because light, whenever you're in forest, a lot of the light doesn't permeate all the way down to the ground. You have most of the light that goes up, so that's where that is. So now, let's go ahead and do some hot dodge action. Yeah. Just a little here and there. He's a little green. Ooh, I don't like that. I'm not feeling that at all. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so let's do this. Do layer mask, sample, a little bit lighter, overlay, brush here. Okay. There we go, that's that warmth I want. Because he's friendly. Because he's got glasses on. And then he won't eat you. Okay. Whoops. E. And we're going to go adjust, brightness, contrast, brightness slightly. The contrast is where I'm going to. Okay, and then overall, save. Let's do this. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Settle down. Okay. Okay. Whoops. Not feeling that. Good. Let me put that back, right back there. Okay, and then this one comes up for here. And we're going to go filter, Gaussian blur, just a little bit. Okay. Save. Okay. There we are. Alright. So what we're going to do now, group, and this is something that I typically do, especially if I ever want to come back to this, is I will merge, whoops, and then I will copy here. Okay. And then you have something called, where is that at? No, not that blur. Smart blur. I want perspective blur. Motion blur, radial blur, lens blur. Haha. Oh. Cancel. I like radial blur. I think I've used radial blur in the past. Blur. Radial blur. Da, 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 da. Wow, trippy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this just because I can. Strength 100%, this is the blur tool. And I just go in and blur some of these edges. My computer's probably like, stop it! What are you doing? Ouch! Ow! So give it time to chew. So yeah, overall, man, the Huion unit really performed flawlessly. The color saturation is beautiful. That 4K screen is absolutely phenomenal. Paired with my Mac, no problem. Installation of drivers, wonderful. Even the 8,192 levels of pressure sensitivity. You know, a lot of, like I said, a lot of the companies are doing the 16,000. And in these larger 4K units, I don't see the need. I mean, it would be nice if they had 16,000, but it's such a nuance, and you really don't feel that 16K. That right there. You gotta blur that, Mike. What's wrong with you, dude? Come on. That 16K, you literally, you don't feel it. Except, it is literally a slight nuance. It is a nuance that ultimately, at the end of the day, I think can be, it doesn't need it. I mean, a machine like this, such a high-end machine, you really don't need that. In terms of price point and retail, so let's go ahead on their website really quick, and we're going to look to see what Huion lists this for, and whether or not I think it's worth what they list it for. Yeah, so this is the picture that I drew on the Huion Kamvas Pro 24-inch 4K. I don't know, what are we going to call him? What's his name? Edgar, Hector, Philippe. I don't know. I'll think about it. So I typed in Huion.com, and lo and behold, right on the first page, this is the unit that we just got through putting through its paces. What I love about Huion, you come here and there's all the colors. It's really so beautiful, and they've got everything laid out in such a way that it's not confusing, and you can go in and find exactly what you need. Here's the moniker, Just Powerful. I would tend to agree with that. I want to learn more about the Huion Kamvas Pro 24 4K. They also have a Kamvas Pro 24 that is not 4K, and this one has the buttons on each side with the scroll pad. 2.5, but ultimately at the end of the day, I would much rather have the 4K unit. So Obviously, specifications, we talked about all of that. Appearance, dimensions. Yeah, 24 inch, I think it's 23 and change. Diagonally, 3840 by 2160. Ultra high definition, 69 aspect ratio. 140% sRGB. Technical specs, pin resolution, 580 LPI, and 8,192 levels of brush sensitivity with 60 degrees of tilt. Alright, that was a mouthful. Full lamination, anti-glare etched glass. And I'm sure that full lamination is indicative of the Pro moniker. HDR, which again, HDR has to do with the placement of high exposure, medium exposure, low exposure, and you merge those together to get a really dynamic looking screen. Digital pen, Tech 3.0, feels more natural, I'd agree. My only gripe would be the taper of the barrel, needs to be a little bit more, and the nib doesn't need to be oceans wide. And I'm going to probably get used to the pen weight, but overall presentation is really good. Industry leading pressure sensitivity level and response rate. I would say industry matching, because nowadays pretty much everything has 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. Mini key dial, which was very nice. Very nice unit. Wish it had a charge upon arrival. Kind of a bummer, but it is branded, which means it's proprietary, which is very nice. You're not going to see this key dial anywhere else but Huion, and I think you can change the intensity of that. I think you can, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. Bluetooth connectivity, which is very nice. Let's see how much she buys for. $1,000. So retail $1,300. Totally worth it, especially as you compare to some of the other models in the industry at this price point. So I believe some of the other competitors are $1,300 to $1,500 to $1,600. And then if you go to the top tier, I believe the top tier in the same slot, 24-inch 4K non-touch, I believe they are over $2,000. And I'm not going to name them in this review, just for courtesy. So overall, I mean, you get all these great things. You get your glove, you get your battery-free stylus. There is no battery in here. This is EMR technology. So on and so forth. Comes with a warranty, a 1-year extended warranty, which is very nice. Let's check the price of the Kamvas. Let's check the price here. Let's go here. And I'm doing this just for giggles. Let's go back. Kamvas pen display. Okay, it's got a bunch of options. If you don't want to spend $1,000, they've got the 19 for $939, and I do believe I reviewed that, and that was one of my favorite tablets ever. Wonderful unit. Kamvas 16, you want to keep it under $500, $469. If you want to go really inexpensive, you can get a Kamvas, or not a Kamvas, but you can get a display tablet now for $200, $204. Kamvas 13, Kamvas 13 Gen 3, so on and so forth. Go in, do your shopping. Gosh, they've got a lot. So you've got Kamvas Pro 16, Kamvas Pro 16, Kamvas Pro 16 Pro 2.5, Kamvas Pro 13. All of these are viable options for you guys as far as display tablets. And what's nice, again, if you look, the artwork is indicative of the unit itself. So let's do a final wrap up. Hold on, I wanted to see what the Kamvas. Let's do 24-inch. Okay. Here's the Kamvas Pro 4K. Here's the Kamvas 24. Wow, there's a huge difference. Okay, so Kamvas Pro 24 4K, you're looking at $1,000. That's currently on sale, looks like, on their website. If you come over here to the Kamvas Pro 24 QHD, full laminated glass, man, $700. I can't even. Back in the day, I paid like $1,000 for a used Wacom. This was years ago, and it only lasted 9 months. And here we are, years later. You get 2K, you get 4K. I mean, all for around $1,000. So wonderful, wonderful options for you guys. Yeah, here we go to 24. Let's go to buy. Oh, $6.99. Yeah, retails for $8.99. So let's go ahead and do a final wrap up and my thoughts with regards to the Huion Kamvas Pro 24 4K.
So final thoughts on the Huion Kamvas 24 4K, Huion Kamvas Pro 24 4K. There we go. That's the right title. I think as far as a display tablet, it really is a great option for those of you looking for something in this particular price point at this level of options. What drives the price up of these display tablets not only is size, but also features. This one is loaded with the features that you would need as a professional, as well as the fit and finish and the quality that Huion is known for. I am always impressed with Huion's products, not only ease of installation, but also complexity of technology. That PenTech 3.0 is wonderful. Again, design is always one of those things that I pay attention to, and overall, I give Huion's unit a thumbs up. A lot of people aren't prepared to spend over $1,000 on a display that does not have a CPU in it. Nowadays, you've got tablets that are portable. Even Huion sells their slate. I believe it's called the Canvas Slate, that is portable. And one of the things that I always will note as far as display tablets go, as far as peripheral tablets go, drawing is always going to be the main feature. And this particular unit has that in droves. It is a wonderful unit overall, and I think that if you are looking for a 24-inch 4K tablet with tons of features and that Pro moniker, definitely consider the Huion Kamvas 24 Pro 4K. So that's pretty much what I had for you guys today. Hopefully you like what you saw. We're going to get a little bit more in depth with reviews as it applies to drawing. I've kind of gotten mired down a little bit in the logistics and specifications. All those are important. However, the drawing is always going to be key as it applies to the art studio. So thank you guys for visiting my channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. And actually, today, go out and do something fun. Right? I'm always here in the studio drawing and doing things, but also I like to get outside and smell the fresh air. So we'll see you guys next time, all right? Have a good one. Bye. And a great big shout out to Huion for letting me review this product. I'm going to go ahead and place the link in the description below to the product itself, as well as the links to the other Huion videos that I've created. We'll see you next time, guys. Have an awesome day.